Well, a very warm welcome to this month's edition of our Market Wrap. My name's Simon Pintado from the Buxton Real Estate Group. Joining me here today is Fiona from Melbourne Home Details. They are my number one stylist, my number one consultant in terms of furniture hire and preparing properties for sale. And I suppose I just wanted to get you here, Fiona, just to give the clients that I deal with a little bit of an insight into what you do and also the best way to get properties looking their best. It's all part of the process, isn't
Absolutely.
it, to make sure that things look amazing. So a few really quick questions. We'll fire them at you, Fiona. Prepare yourself.
All right.
First and foremost, what is the benefit of having a property vacant and have no furniture as opposed to having it fully styled with high furniture and perhaps even some of their own furniture?
Okay. Look, from our point of view, Simon, it's pretty straightforward. An empty property leaves people to look at potential flaws in the property. And compared to a property that's dressed, of course, there's much greater appeal.
Yep.
It also gives people a sense of the size of the property as well as how it could be laid out, particularly if there are difficult little corners or locations within the home. They're a little bit unclear as to what they could be used for. And then, of course, there's the aesthetic element. So what we're doing is really creating a mood and a feeling and a real draw factor so that when someone has driven away and they've looked at property number 4 along the way, that they're still actually thinking about number 1.
There's a more emotive appeal,
exactly,
isn't it? Yeah. And I know what you mean about those little awkward spots where perhaps you can put a table or a chair or something in that space to actually make it a usable space.
Correct, yes.
Good. That's actually probably exactly what I would think as to why you put furniture into the
good.
place.
Okay.
Second question is, and now I really need to think about this because I had them all in my head. The second question is, people think that actually hiring furniture is a really costly thing and that it's probably not going to get an investment on their return, so to speak. Obviously, clients do outlay money with advertising and obviously agents' commissions and things like that. Do you think, your honest opinion, and obviously you're going to be biased because this is what you do for a living, do you think that hiring furniture and styling a property is definitely beneficial to the client?
Absolutely, without question, yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
You don't really need to know much more aside from that.
Yes.
So Fiona, I'm sure that the question on everybody's mind is what is, and it is with any service or product, what is the price? What does it cost to style a place?
Certainly a good question, Simon. However, my job is purely the creative eyes of the business. And the great thing about that is that I'm not swayed by price in terms of what I'm doing, so I can advise accurately, and then it's up to our office to price things appropriately for that client and that situation.
Good. I think it's a little bit like when we're selling a place and we're talking about advertising. The way that I explain it is it's like going to a restaurant. You can go to the most expensive restaurant in Melbourne, but if you don't order anything, you just have a glass of water, it's really cheap.
Yes.
It's much like that. I imagine with furniture is that you can have the bells and whistles and put everything in its place, or you can minimise and change and chop things around, which you guys are really good for and you do for us all the time.
Yeah, of course. And I think that was something else I did want to add before is to ensure that your clients are aware that we can offer excellent service, whether it's for a full fit out or a partial. And often the partials are scenarios where we might be removing a faded or cat scratch sofa. We're advising them on freshening up linen, and we can provide that, or they may decide, hey, you know what, I'm buying new linen myself for where I'm going. So we can just work it through, and that helps often alleviate a lot of the emotional stress that people are under at the time too.
And you don't just do hiring of furniture, do you? You go out purely as a service. Obviously, you're working with us, but obviously you go out to our clients' houses and you do just a plain consultation to people and using their own furniture as well, don't you?
Absolutely. And in that time I can impart quite a few tricks and tips along the way, and I often encourage people to record that on their mobile phone.
Beautiful.
So that they've got that to listen to again, because often in the heat of the moment they're a bit stressed and they might not get it all down. So it's a great way they can go back to the information and trick it up themselves.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. So Fiona, if there was going to be 3 key things that you would recommend to anybody watching this video that's looking to put their place on the market at all in the near future or immediately, what are the 3 key things that you normally would say to a client when you first come to the house and have a look at it that are the main things that people should focus on?
Sure. That's a really good question. The main things that we would encourage people to address is decluttering and depersonalising. So that includes removing things like personal photographs, those really personal items that people might have on bedside tables or various places throughout the home. And the reason for that is I always say to people, you know, they're beautiful family photos. However, we want someone to come in here and imagine themselves here.
Correct.
We don't want constant reminders of who's been here before them. We want them to go, wow, I can live here. This is for me. And the other thing, of course, is getting us in, because a fresh set of eyes, I often find people will say, wow, is this really my home when I've gone through and done my thing? And sometimes it's just that fresh set of eyes to see how things could be done better, differently, and certainly a freshening up.
Which is exactly the feedback that I get whenever you go through our properties, Fiona. It's like, oh my gosh, now we don't even want to move.
Yes.
It's very much the case when people come through and go, oh, it was a really good idea, you put this here or you put that there, and a lot of it is, you know, leading people through the house, making sure that it's easy to get through the house, obviously with placement of furniture and things like that. Also, as you said, making rooms feel bigger, the layout and all of that sort of stuff too. It really is quite interesting from an agent's perspective when we see the before and after, the difference that it makes properties look completely different.
Yes, yeah.
And it does make a big difference as well, sorry to cut you off, it does make a big difference as well with older style properties to, I suppose, trick it up a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. And look, foot traffic is something that we talk about as well. So obviously, when people are living in a home as opposed to when people are coming through for inspection, you've got a much higher foot traffic. So we need to allow larger areas for flow of people so people aren't hopping around one another. And I've forgotten what the other thing was. That
no, that's okay. Our open for inspections are always busy, so we do need to worry about that.
Yes.
Which is really good. So thank you. I did want to get you in to talk to the clients, obviously, to give them a bit of an impression. Whenever I'm sitting in front of clients, I say, look, I'm not going to give you any tips on styling, because you will call me and say, Simon, don't give them any tips on styling. You have no idea what you're talking about, which is fair enough.
Well, hopefully you've learnt something today.
I have, and thank you very much. You're the professional. It's good for you to give the clients a little bit of an insight into what you do, how you do it, and the, I suppose, the method behind the madness. So thank you.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you, Simon.
Take care.
Okay.
So there you go. I hope you found that useful. That was Fiona from Melbourne Home Detail. She is my #1 consultant, and it is a service that I provide to all of my clients, whether you're looking to do something immediately or whether you do just want to get a bit of an idea on how to properly style your home. That is a service that I provide free of charge, obviously, to make sure that we are getting the process right and it's not just the promise of a price. So there you go. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. What happened in October? It was Buxton's Pink October. We did have a lot of hot Saturdays and Wednesdays in our pink suits, pink ties, pink everything, but it was all for a very, very good cause. In fact, we raised around $80,000 over the month of October for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So thank you very much for getting around it. It is a wonderful cause. Now, the facts and the figures. As we expected, the month of October has really been a turning point in the Melbourne market as a whole. What we did find, as predicted last month, is that instead of having 5 or 6 bidders at each of our auctions, we're now having more like 1 or 2. And the skill of your agent is paramount. We are needing to have better negotiators out there in the field at the coalface on auction day, making sure that deals are happening, because we're finding that there's probably either one bid or a few bids, and the highest bidder is being negotiated up either at or just around the vendor's reserve price, and sold stickers are going on boards, albeit at a lower level to what we've found in the last 12 months. Without making this video too long, you've already been sitting here watching me for far too long. I'll make this part very, very quick. On the 24th of October, there was a Super Saturday. There were 1,450 recorded auctions, of which there was a 71% clearance rate, which actually is really quite good considering that was a record number of auctions for any October during Melbourne ever recorded. So certainly to have those types of clearance rates is definitely a positive for the market. And it is sort of something that we do look at very, very positively. When there's a high amount of stock and we're still getting high clearance rates, that should give you, the consumer, some confidence. I'm predicting next Tuesday that the RBA will cut interest rates, perhaps even 0.25%. If that does happen, I do hope that the big banks do pass that on. That's just my little prediction for you. You can hold me to it the next video. A really big result that we did have was number 12, Eddie's Grove. It broke a record for an out of the McKinnon School Zone property, a single level Californian bungalow sold prior to auction for $1,951,000, which is just massive money. It was a beautiful home, but what's coming onto the market between now and Christmas? There is not long to go. We've only got a few weeks between now and Christmas. In fact, there's 2 weeks left to list properties for this year, for the 2015 calendar year. But two big ones that I do have coming up, I have listed number 14 Maud Street in Ormond. It is a beautiful Californian bungalow in the heart of the McKinnon School Zone, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and it is an absolute cracker if you are wanting to secure yourself a beautiful period home prior to Christmas. The other one is number 41 Summers Street in Bentleigh. That is a property that is north facing, 4 bedrooms, again a Californian bungalow sitting on about 570 square metres. If you don't need the McKinnon School Zone, that one is definitely for you. And the other one is number 1 Fox Street in Ormond. It has been highly anticipated, highly waited for. In fact, the family's been there for over 30 years, and it's been one that I really have been given the privilege to market and sell. That's number 1 Fox Street in Ormond, north facing, about 640 odd square metres, a beautiful 5 bedroom brick Californian bungalow home, north facing with a pool, one of the best gardens and facades, in fact the best garden and facade that I think I've ever seen in my time in real estate. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. Thank you very much for watching the October edition of our Market Wrap. My name's Simon Pintado from the Buxton Real Estate Group, and I'll see you next month.